Hi, good afternoon. My name's Adam Chelton. I also describe myself as the mental health warrior. And today we've got a brilliant guest, or shall I say celebrity.
No,
Who knows?
no.
Paul McGregor. He is a mental health campaigner and author who shares his story in the hope of normalising mental health conversations. He shares his personal experience of mental health alongside actionable advice to help you manage your mental health day to day. He's been featured on Sky News, BBC, Huffington Post, and has delivered presentations and workshops for organisations such as the FA, Lloyds, TSB, Warner Brothers, and more. Welcome.
That's a big bio, that is.
Try saying that when you've had a drink.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me, Adam. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Now, where can we start? I'm going to start with, what does mental health mean to you?
Start with a big question then.
And jump in the
Mental
deep
health.
end, me.
Yeah. What does it mean to me? It's a really good question, and I ask this in my talks, and I can't answer it myself. But I think it means it's individual. You have to define it yourself. It's something that we all have all got. It's something that we have to learn to manage, and I personally believe it's something we need to prioritize. Mental health is so important, and it has a massive impact on our own lives, but everyone around us. So call it what you want, emotional health, mental well-being, mindset, brain health, loads of different terms are being thrown around now, but it's, for me, something we need to definitely start prioritizing.
Absolutely. Because obviously, when I was talking to somebody just a couple of months ago, and he asked me the exact same question, and it took me over an hour to actually answer it. And I've actually got it on my Facebook page now, and I've described it as mental health is our mindset that controls the way we think, act, and behave.
Nice. I like it. Exactly. It's everything, right? Without your mind, without your mental health, what have you got? It's everything. So we need to focus on it.
Yeah, so obviously I want to start with like your experience with mental health, like before you became an advocate, an author, and yeah.
Yeah, sure. So the reason why kind of I do what I do is from personal experience, which a lot of campaigners have that similar experience. But my one was when I was 18, I sadly lost my dad to suicide. And my dad was someone that you would never almost imagine to be struggling with his mental health, very academic, full-time engineer. My dad had a psychology degree. He read self-help books. He ran. He was healthy. So really, me growing up, mental illness was really only what you kind of saw in Hollywood movies and newspapers, and my family, my friends. That was never us. Like, we didn't look like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does,
And
yeah.
it's almost like you would just, if you would have told me when I was 15 that my dad would have ended his life 3 years later, I would have just laughed at you, because that was just never, it was never going to happen. But sadly it did, and it was it happened quickly. My dad went from the dad that I've just explained to his behaviors changed dramatically. He then went to the doctors to get help for, they then obviously diagnosed him with clinical depression, but very quickly after that, and I say, less than a week, he did make an attempt on his life. And then again, you almost think that everything's going to go back to normal, but he spent a little bit of time in a mental health unit. But it was really a 6-month period of him getting better, getting worse, getting better, getting worse, before, sadly he did take his own life. And like I said, I was 18, nearly 19, didn't really deal with it. I got emotional, I got upset, I then got angry. I then went to a nightclub like 6 days later, started a business, which was good, but also it meant I can just distract myself. And for about 2 years after that, just really wearing that mask, pretending everything was okay, but it wasn't. And then found myself in quite a dark place, depression, anxiety. Didn't really know it was that back then, but now looking back, and I needed that help. And I was fortunate to get that help through therapy, an amazing lady called Anne. And, fast forward sort of, 7 years after my dad, maybe 8 years after my dad, I started to talk more openly about it on social media, and it's gone from there, really. So yeah, it's a personal reason why I got involved, and it's one that I want to continue to share to try and help others.
Yeah, because obviously when I followed you on LinkedIn, I saw one of your videos, and you was only on for about 2-3 minutes, and I think one of the best descriptions of describing mental health is with Lego.
You saw the Lego one,
I
yeah?
saw the Lego.
It's good, right? And that's not my, I don't think that's my, I think I heard it at a talk and I was like, I like this. And then my little boy, we spoke about it on a video, and then I said, oh, I'm going to create this video as well. And it did well. It's a good analogy, right?
It's a brilliant analogy, yeah. See, I'm trying to get analogy out now, and because I'm not used to saying that word. But next thing is you becoming an author. Like, it's good to write about your book, like your life, keep like a journal and all that. But what's it called? Where can we find it?
Yeah, sure. The book's called Man Up, Man Down. It's on Amazon. I believe it's in some Waterstones and some bookstores. But for me, that was just I was writing down a lot of what I was going through at that time, and the first thing that I ever did in terms of campaigning was a blog post. So I did a blog post called I think it was along the lines of Why Men Take Their Own Lives, and it was my own personal experience. And then Calm, which is a charity for
Yeah,
male suicide, they heard about it and they said, "Can we share this?" And it got shared on the Huffington Post, and that did really well. And to to be honest, when that did well, I was really emotional because I was like, wow, this is helping people. But I still didn't do any more mental health campaigning for about a year
mm-mm.
after that. So I think that's a really good explanation of, like, if you want to share your story. I shared it and then I stopped sharing it for another year because I still wasn't 100% ready. But yeah, so the blog post, I was writing a lot, and then a guy, funny enough, a guy reached out when he saw a video of mine on Facebook and said, I'm about to start this publishing company, focus on mental health. I think your story would be perfect. And I didn't reply to him. And then he came back, about a year later and said, I've started this publishing company. Here's some of our books. It started a charity called the Sure Mind Foundation at the time, and they'd just managed to get over 100,000 signatures to make mental health compulsory in schools. They
Fantastic.
were doing some amazing work. So yeah, I decided to write the book, and it was published via Trigger Publishing, and it was kind of just another way of me getting the story out there. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
you
yeah,
could be
because
on LinkedIn and you'd see a video of me building Lego and explaining why that's around mental health. But at the same time, if you want to read the whole story and read a book, the book's there. Does that make sense? It's
I will absolutely. Yeah, we need to
yeah,
buy this book. Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. So obviously the next thing is Sky News, BBC News. Come on, I've never been on the news. Well, I've been on like telly, but not the news. Being interviewed on the news. What was that experience like?
It
Nervous?
was no, it was again. I think when you've got a strong why, um, the nerves are always there, but it's almost like you remind yourself of why you're doing it. So like standing up in front of people and talking about it, I still get nervous, but at the same time, I try and collect myself beforehand and just say, if I can just help one person in this room, this one person that might have been my dad, um, I'll be happy. So the same with them. How it came about was I don't remember. I think it was Calm, the charity, and another good friend of mine, Johnny Benjamin, who's
Yeah,
an MBE. You might have heard of Johnny. He does a lot of campaigning work.
yeah,
He's got a book called Stranger on the Bridge. Amazing guy. I think BBC News was him. So he was like, Paul, I've been asked to go on BBC News. Can't make it. Do you want to do it? So sometimes it's as easy as that. But it was an amazing experience with Sky News. Kay Burley, the first time I did it was just webcam. So I was sitting here and I was on webcam. And then she invited me into the studio to talk about my book when it was out. And on that day, my eldest boy, I said to him, look, you're not going to school today. I was like, do you want to come with me to the Sky Studios? I said, I don't care if you get in trouble. And he come with me. And they were amazing with him. They put the headphones on him backstage, and he was like the producer of it. And they had like all the kind of superhero outfits that were actually worn in some of the films. And yeah, he loved it. So it was definitely a good
brilliant.
experience for him as well.
Yeah, because obviously the reason I asked that is because I've got a good friend of mine. He's called Philip Chan, Good friend, a good businessman. He's actually wanting me to go on telly myself on Alba UK TV like early next year. And obviously, I've not got that confidence, but I've got confidence to do this, but I haven't got the confidence to be on telly. But I'm ready to go on the radio, if that makes sense. So I
Yeah.
don't know, like, what's one piece of advice you want me to have?
I think you should do it. You do it. Like, you know, confidence is for me. You have to just put yourself through those comfort zones sometimes, however difficult they seem. And you know, public speaking for me was something that honestly at school, if I had to stand up in front of the class, I would throw a sickie. You know, I would tell my mum there was something wrong with me and I wouldn't go in because I hated it. And the first time I got asked to do public speaking was about business, and I was 21, and I was just like, there's no way I'm ever going to do it. But if I'm honest, the money that was on the table at that time was really good for doing it, and that then pushed me. But honestly, I didn't sleep for like days before that. I was sweating, I was so nervous, I robotically sort of delivered it. But once you do it once, it becomes a lot easier. So my advice to you, however scary this sounds, is do the TV. You know, and I honestly, just from your vibe, your energy, I think you'll be fine. And also if you remind yourself why you're doing that, I think you'll be fine as well.
Because I do believe that the biggest fear is fear itself.
Exactly.
Yeah, you'll probably end up nicking that for your LinkedIn. So I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah,
they'll be on
yeah,
there in an
I
hour's
gave him
time.
that.
It'll be on there in an hour's time. But yeah, no, I think, you know, if there's one thing that's really helped me, it's that, you know, knowing that fear is it's normal, and just doing all you can to kind of push those boundaries. And if it doesn't work out, you know, you haven't lost, you've just learned something new as well. So yeah, I would say try and break that comfort zone.
Yeah, because obviously when we was talking about just before we came on, like how we're getting on with lockdown. Obviously, yeah, I was struggling. My partner was struggling as well during it, and I actually thought, you know what, my phone's buzzing. It's like I'm gonna say it straight up. It's buzzing its tits off, and I thought, you know what, work always starts at home. So I'm going to ignore them. I'll get to them soon. I want to focus on my partner. So obviously I thought, you know what, there's not much I can do other than talk to her. But then next day, I went on Amazon and I ordered something which came like a few days later. It's something shaped of a heart. And it says, always remember, you're braver than you believe, stronger than you think, love more than you know, and more beautiful than you imagine. And,
Like that.
and straight away, she turned her life around.
Nice. Yeah, and that's all it takes sometimes. It's that reassurance, or that reminder, or a different outlook, a different perspective.
Yeah, because obviously you wouldn't believe that just March last year, I've attempted suicide.
Yeah.
And now, due to the childhood trauma I suffered growing up, because I never had parents who treat me nicely like I'm wanted. So now, and I was petrified becoming a dad for the very first time because I didn't know how to change a nappy, sterilize a bottle, or even hold a child. I didn't know. But now, yeah, I'm not perfect.
But that's a great example, right? And thank you for sharing that. That's a great example of, we never have the answers anyway, right? And as soon as we went into lockdown, everyone was panicking. Everyone has managed it, you know. Not everyone, but you know what I'm saying? It's like we always figure out a way, you know. I the same with me when I was a dad. I can swear on here because I think you swear.
Just go for it. Go for it.
I was shit scared, right? I was shit scared becoming a dad, and the reason why I was shit scared was because, you know, like, one, my dad, like, you know, you would never have met my kids. Two, my biggest fear is I'll end up like my dad, you know, so I didn't want to put that pain onto my own children. But now I look back at that and I thought, God, if that held me back, and if that held you back, you know, you wouldn't be a dad, you know, you wouldn't have done the things that you've already done.
Yeah.
So however small, however big it is, we never have got the answers to everything. But we're more resilient than we know we are, you know. Same with you. You're more resilient than you believe you are. You'll
Absolutely.
get through anything.
Yeah, because obviously I started watching inspiring speeches and quotes. Like I've got some on my phone, an app where I'm constantly getting quotes every single day. And that's just what words of encouragement. Like I'm just saying today's now. Like I've just opened it now. when it actually finally loads. But yeah, it's just one of the like it's come up now. It says it's a quote by James Pike. Remember that life is not measured in hours, but in accomplishments.
Nice. I like that.
You'll probably end up making that one as well.
Yeah. I've got 4 LinkedIn posts now, like
Oh, great!
scheduled up. No,
Thanks for
I'm
that.
joking. I'm joking.
As long as you tag my YouTube channel in there, and yeah, I'll be happy with that. Yeah, because I'm always asking people to share my YouTube channel. This is where that's going to end up.
Cool.
So yeah, our mug's going to be there live. But anyway, because this is what I want to do. I want to turn this into a business rather than just a hobby.
Yeah, that takes
Yeah,
time.
because I'm on a business course as we speak, and I thought, you know what, it's time we stop this stigma because it's not being spoke about enough, not in schools, and it was actually me that pushed for my kids at school to actually do it because he's spotted that I'm doing this and I'm passionate about this. And he's only 8 years old and he wants to learn about it himself. So I thought, what better than learning it young?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the thing is with mental health is we're not educated on it, so we don't understand it. So like you said, the earlier we can be educated on it, the better. School's amazing, and I think teachers are amazing. They do an amazing job. But let's be honest, the school system needs changing, right? Like,
Thank you.
I did a video on I've done a video before about how at school I was taught how to master algebra. At school I was taught how to play the recorder. At school,
Yeah.
I was taught how many planets there are in the universe. But at school I wasn't taught how to deal with grief. I wasn't taught how to deal with stress.
I'm
I
saying,
wasn't taught how to manage my finances. And let's be honest, those should be implemented into the school system in some way. And yeah, my eldest is very pro mental health and wants to talk and encourage other people to talk about it. But yeah, as you said, the stigma is the biggest problem, and it will take a long time to eradicate that. But we have to start somewhere, and if that takes 20, 30, 50, 100 years, the earlier we can start, the better. So yeah, no, in terms of you starting it as a business, as you said, I think you'll get there. You just got to keep doing as you're doing, and when you know why you're doing it, it will keep you going.
absolutely, because anything is possible if you believe in yourself. You have that self belief, and yeah. And with the change in the education system, are you actually giving me an opportunity here, an offer?
What do you mean?
We should come together and actually make this happen because action speaks louder than words.
Of course, it's a massive task. Like, my business, Every Mind at Work, we provide mental health support to companies via a mobile app. So they support their employees via a mobile app, and a lot of it is based on personal experience, sort of trying to encourage employees to talk about how they feel. And we're actually launching Every Mind at School, which is a version for teachers. So I really wanted to offer a platform for students, but as we all know, every age is very different, and it's very more. There's a lot more kind of politics in a way that you have to look at to try and talk about mental health to children. So the way that we thought about doing it was educating and supporting and encouraging the teachers. So the platform will be available to teachers, and they can get a bit more insight into mental health, how to support their students, how to support themselves. So yeah, that's something that we're doing. But yeah, in terms of changing the school system, I think it's, people have been banging that drum for a long time. And I think as long as we all can keep banging that drum, it will eventually happen.
Yeah. Yeah. That a drum never bursts. Well,
yeah.
only if you allow it to.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so obviously what's like one piece of advice you actually give to somebody that wants to speak out? Like, for example, the reason I say that because I was allowed to be bullied, and I was bullied from the age of 3 years old, and due to my disability, and I kept that to myself for 21 years. So obviously, it was a police officer who I spoke to first. Didn't do much. So what advice should say to them?
It's a really good question. I think you might be able to share some advice on this as well. But one thing that I've learned is, one, never judge yourself. So never judge yourself for how you're feeling or what you've been through, or the fact that you need to talk about it. I think a lot of people don't talk about it because they feel weak, they feel like they're burdening others, they feel like others are going to judge them and all of that. So they hold it in on themselves. But the second one, I think, is never stop trying. Because again, you know, TikTok is a very younger demographic from what I've seen. And the videos that I share on there, a lot of the comments that I get are very much around, I've tried telling my mum, I've tried telling my dad, but they don't listen. Um, and sometimes the advice that you have to give in that situation, however hard this is stop trying, you know, because
Yeah.
those specific individuals may never understand, they may never listen. And it's so important that you just never give up trying. And what I mean by that is try to tell someone else, you know, and whether the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth person still doesn't get it, they still don't want to help, the sixth person might be that person that gets it. They understand, they want to give you that support, and they want to help. So I don't know whether your experience was similar, but you know, with mine, it was probably, you know, I went to two different therapists before I found Anne, the third one, who helped me. And that doesn't mean they're bad therapists. It's just probably I wasn't really ready to talk to them. I didn't feel that I could talk to them. So I think definitely don't stop trying, because you will find that one person that can definitely help.
Absolutely. You know what? Yeah. Because obviously I was diagnosed with mental health, depression at 4 years old. And I had on and off counselling for the majority of my life. It never worked. But what the advice I'd actually offer is whether it's counselling, therapy, if you find it hard, all I'm saying is good because it means it's working.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
obviously, like one piece of advice I've learned from Dwayne Johnson via YouTube, which I think should check him out, is his advice is if your back is against that wall, what are you question yourself what you're going to do about it because there's a storm in front of you. Storms don't. We need to remind ourselves storms don't last forever; they're only temporary. Get that one foot in front of yours. Because I've even got it on ink. I've even inked myself for it. My story's not over yet because we've all got a
Yeah,
story.
100%. Yeah, I love that. I agree with that. And it's knowing, as you said, that you can get in really dark places. Like I've got in really dark places. You know, my dad was in a really dark place, and you know, I truly believe my dad could still be alive, because when you're in that place, it's knowing that you've got a little bit of hope, and that's, as you say, that storm will pass. But
Yeah.
it really is holding on. You know, it's holding on to hope. It's telling people, it's opening up. It's, as you said, you know, you spent a lot of your life not telling anyone, and that
Mm.
silence is toxic, because it just eats away at you and you feel very alone. So you know, as you said about the stigma, I think a lot of that is caused by the stigma. So, you know, as we start to eradicate that, I'm hoping that people like you, in the age that you was, feel like they can talk about it now.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't, and I cannot wait for more people to actually start standing up. Because if it weren't for this lockdown, I'd be actually getting ready to step on stage and just telling my story myself. But obviously, that's put a stop to it. But it's another piece of advice is when you're hearing those words, stay social distant. I'm sorry, but you're not breaking the law if you ignore that. I don't watch the news. I ignore those words social distance because I've actually felt more social connected with people because I've done a lot of work for mental health. People have noticed that. I've even got a Facebook business page, which I've just this morning I got a notification that I've got 52 likes on it. That many people following it. Yeah, it's only just started, but 52 in like less than a month. I think that's brilliant. Yes,
Yeah, it
mate.
is. It is.
So yeah, always speak. Always
Yeah,
speak.
100%. And just quickly on that whole 52 people, and you talking about getting on stage, I think people forget, um, especially on social media, like let's say your video gets 10 views, you know, some people are like, oh, you know, I've only got 10 views. But now imagine you in a room talking about mental health in front of 10 people, right?
Yeah,
Like that's impactful. So now you got 52 people liking your page. that's 52 people and sitting in front of you in a room as you stand there and talk about the importance of mental health, you know. And then the good thing with mental health is, and you know, not just mental health, but something we're trying to encourage, is you've got 52 people there. Now let's say you inspire 2 of them to share their stories. Now you're inspiring maybe 100 others that they're now reaching, and then they're inspiring 3 more that share their stories, and it's that domino effect. And that's
Yeah.
one thing that I learned probably a year and a half into this, was I'm doing this because I want to help people like my dad. But what I didn't realize is you're actually encouraging other people to tell their stories, which
Yeah.
is encouraging other people to tell theirs. And it's that domino effect. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Like, you know, the more people that can share, the better.
Thanks for that. And on that note, thank you for coming on. It's been an
No worries.
absolute honour, even though I can be a pest sometimes. But
No, honestly, it's
yeah,
great.
this is how much you inspire me to keep talking, because I like and I share some of your stuff on LinkedIn, which obviously you can be found. You can be found on Facebook. I don't know if you've got a group on Facebook.
Yeah, I do have a group. It's linked to my Facebook page. It's called Speak Your Strength. So there's a Facebook group there as well that's managed by a couple of people that really took the group on, and they do an amazing job as well.
Please send me an invitation. I want to join it.
Yeah. You should be able to find it. Hopefully you'll be able to find it. But if not, yeah, if you search for Paul McGregor on Facebook, you should be able to find the page and then the group.
I will do. And on that note, thank you for coming on.
Adam, thanks for having me on, mate. I appreciate it.
Don't be a stranger, because I want to bring you on again.
Cool, let's do it. All right, man.
Right.
Cheers.